In this problem, we want to analyze and graph the function y is equal to 2 times the cosine of negative 5x plus pi over 2. And in our graph, we want to show at least one period. So the first thing that I would do is factor out the negative 5 from the inside of the cosine function. So we get cosine of negative 5 times x minus pi over 10. So from this, we can see that the amplitude of our cosine function is going to be 2. Our period is going to be 2 pi divided by the number sitting outside of the argument, but still in the argument. So we have 2 pi over 5. And we're also going to have a horizontal shift because we have something added to x. So our horizontal shift, we're going to shift right pi over 10 units. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the key points on our x-axis. So let's first pretend that this graph is not shifted at all. So if we have a cosine graph with a period of 2 pi over 5, we know that we would start at 0 and go to 2 pi over 5. Now the point in the middle of those 2 points is going to be pi over 5. In between 0 and pi over 5, we'll have pi over 10. And in between pi over 5 and 2 pi over 5, we'll have 3 pi over 10. Now what we want to do is shift those key points to the right pi over 10 units. So we add pi over 10 to each of these key points. So we get pi over 10, pi over 5, 3 pi over 10, 2 pi over 5, and pi over 2. So now we can go ahead and graph our cosine function. So we have our x-axis, y-axis. We know the amplitude is going to be 2, so here's negative 2, here's positive 2, and now we want to draw in our key points on the x-axis. So we have pi over 10, pi over 5, 3 pi over 10, 2 pi over 5, and pi over 2. And if you want to draw in a little dotted line to show the horizontal shift, that's a nice addition to do. So the cosine function is always going to start at the top of your first key point. So we'll have a point at pi over 10, comma 2, and then we go down to the middle with the next key point, all the way down to the bottom with the third key point, back up to the middle on the fourth key point, and all the way back up to the top for the fifth key point. So this is one period of the cosine function, and all we have to do is connect these dots with a nice smooth curve, and you've got your cosine function.